Recording in progress.
Hello and welcome to the Unleashing Infinite Abundance Masterclass. Thank you all for being here. All right, so I'm just going to take a moment and take a deep breath with me, and we'll get relaxed and centered and set the intention for unleashing infinite abundance. All right, so once again, thank you for being here. I am Joseph Easley, and this is my first ever Unleashing Infinite Abundance Masterclass. So there were, I got a visitor. Okay. Hello, Yo. Is that how you?
Hello.
Hello.
How's your day?
I'm doing pretty good. Thank you for being here.
Of course, I just saw the Facebook post and I wanted to join.
Oh, well, I really appreciate that.
Of course.
Welcome to the Unleashing Infinite Abundance Masterclass. So this is my very first time doing this class, so if it's a little clunky, that's why.
Okay.
All right. And it's going to be an interactive class, so if I ask a question, feel free to just go ahead and answer, just like if we're in a room together.
Okay.
All right. And it's going to be unstructured, so sometimes I'll have a lot. Take a little bit, get connected and centered, and then I'll say what comes next.
Okay. I'm sorry if my microphone sounds bad. I tried to find ones so I could join, but this is the only source I have.
Oh, that's all right.
Thank you.
All right, got another person in the waiting room. Hello, Delores.
Alright, I'm back. I'm sorry. But, hold on. I'm gonna join the Zoom meeting right back, okay? I gotta
Okay,
go.
all right, I'll be here.
I'll bring them.
All right. Delores is in the process of joining, and Io is she left and she's coming back. So just give it a moment. Hello, welcome, Delores.
Hello.
Thank you for being at my first masterclass.
Oh, the other person was me too. Okay.
Oh yeah, there were two of you
I
in the
just
wait.
left. Okay.
Yeah, someone was here before. They just left and they're about to come back.
All right. Cool.
Yep. So I want to say thank you for being here and welcome to the Unleashing Your Infinite Abundance Masterclass.
Awesome. You know, God's been talking to me about this very thing, not so much money wise, but spiritual. Uh, I'm entering into who I'm meant to be instead of all the labels people have been putting on me. So this is cool. Looking
Awesome.
forward to it.
Wonderful.
I actually am supposed to be cutting my dog's nails. I got the front ones done and one ear brushed, and we needed a break. And then I was on Messenger, and now I'm here. So I'm
Okay.
not getting done what I'm supposed to be doing, but that's okay.
Oh, nice. A little bit of procrastination. That's part of the focus of this call. Yay.
Well, I don't know if it's procrastination or priorities. I figured
Yeah.
I needed to be here, so I'm just chilling and letting it flow.
Oh yeah. So procrastinating on the lesser priorities so we can get the higher priorities done first. Yeah, that's good. Let's see. Getting some of my notes ready here. I've got like three notebooks that I use. One of them where I keep my schedule and my journal, and then my other one where I keep, like all the stuff, the videos and courses that I go through. I put my notes in that other journal, and then I've got like a little notepad where I just put miscellaneous notes in.
Who was here before? Somebody I know?
Um, it said her name was Io or something like that.
I don't think so.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I'm not sure where she came from. maybe maybe it was from one of the times I shared my master class within the last few days.
That's got to be something to overcome. I know Noelle said that she has sat alone with her, she created the piecework and sharing, which we're not having right now, and also community circle. And a lot of times it was just her and I, and not a lot of times, but a couple, 2 or 3 times, it was just her and I. And she said sometimes she just sits there by herself and just leaves the room open in case somebody shows up. But she said it's instead of feeling bad about it, she uses it as a positive thing and just takes in, uh, I don't know, I can't remember exact words, but it, it's got to be uh, kind of a hurdle, I guess, to, when you're trying to, create something and then not have, be sitting there and nobody shows up.
Uh, yeah, I mean, to be honest, I was like, man, uh, it's so it's so like unformulated and unprepared on one hand, but then on the other hand, I spent hours writing out an entire script. But I was recommended that if I'm just sticking to a script, it's hard to go with the flow. So I'm trying to find the balance of that masculine and feminine energy. So part of me
I
was
was
actually hoping nobody would show up.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, going with the script is cool, but that's just like with the talks, like with prophets and the apostles and stuff given the church. Most of the apostles, they've got it written out, but they're talking to you. They're not even looking at their script, and I like that so much better than somebody just reading what they've written. It's just so going with the flow is really cool.
Hmm.
Sounds like somebody's talking.
Oh, that's the TV in the other room.
Oh, okay, okay.
Yeah, there's kind of thin walls here. There's sadly not that much I can do about the noise. And hopefully the dogs don't get started barking outside, or else I might have to move to the other side of the room.
Well, is this, are you in an apartment building or something? With
Not
an
an
apart,
apartment. I'm in my house in my room, and I've got
oh, oh,
here on the right, I've got this air conditioning unit in the window, and so
uh-huh.
open space around it. Besides what I have stuffed with like gift bags, so when the dogs get started barking outside, and if there's cars going by or people, it's just like right there.
Oh. What kind of dogs do you have?
They're like they're not my dogs, um,
Oh,
big dogs, but they're like
oh, that's right. You live with people, right? Yeah, okay, okay.
yeah,
So what kind are they?
they're like blue pit bull mixes, I think.
Oh, okay, okay. So many people have pit bulls now.
Yeah, and then
Yeah,
we got a new little bitty dog, you know.
yeah.
Like,
The
he-
higher ups, the people in charge I see things, I'm a dog person. I've been a dog groomer, and God told me years ago I sold real estate too, and it was when I was getting out of real estate. He said the next big money making thing is going to be animals, going to be pets. And that's when
Oh,
they
really?
started pushing the pit bulls. Yeah. Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
And look at what's happened. It's crazy. They make so much money. It's all about money.
Yeah. Uh, that's funny since we're on the subject of dogs. There was a there was an incident that happened to me a few months ago. It was in the summer, and my roommates were gone, and that before they left, we decided that I was gonna take out the dogs so they could go to the bathroom and stuff outside, so that no one would have to come over to the house and do all that stuff. And so before they left, they took me into the room, you know, to where the dogs were. They let the dogs out. They let the dogs, get my scent and stuff, and like lick me and get familiar with me and all that stuff. Because most of the time when I've been here, I've lived here for a few years. I've been so socially isolated that I mostly just stay in my room. So it's like we live in the same house, but it's like they don't even know me in a sense. So before they left, I went in, they had me come in the room with them and, kind of introduce me to them again, let them, get close to me and like, have contact and smell me and all that kind of stuff. So hopefully they would be like, it would be cool whenever I would, go in the room to let them out, to go outside, to go to the bathroom and, feed them and give them water and stuff. It's like, that should be fine. Um, what happened though was after my roommates left, um, I don't remember what day it was. Might have been in the week or on a weekend. I don't know. I opened the door, and the way it normally goes, whenever there's no one here except the dogs and like me, or if the dogs don't know who all is here in the house, if they hear a noise, they'll start barking, like there's an intruder or something. And so whenever it was just me here by myself and I went to, open the door to, go in and let them out to go to the bathroom outside, as normal, they started barking really loud. Just me opening the door, and they were like barking loud, like I'm not supposed to be here, so like it started to, like um I had like that physical, kind of fear response because there's like 5 or 6 dogs, big ones, and they're all barking at me and stuff. And, you know, uh, my physical body, it almost got, hijacked from like, probably adrenaline and cortisol and whatever all that stuff is that, goes through you. But they were still in their cages. And I was like, okay, I'm not going to let them all out at once because that would be too much. I'll just let, one cage out at a time of the dogs. And so I did that. Um, I let a couple of them out, and it went pretty well whenever it was me letting them out of the cages and to go outside. Because what normally happens when, my roommates let them out is they open the cage and the dogs are ready to go. Like they know it's time to go eat or it's time to go outside and use the bathroom or whatever it is. And so they take off running and they run through the house and they go to the back door and they're ready to go out. So I went ahead through the house, and I don't remember if they ran ahead of me or if I ran with them or how it went, but I probably ran a little bit quick to keep up. And I opened the back door, and then I opened the back gate in the backyard, and I let them outside. And my roommate's actually taking the dogs outside right now. And I let them outside, and I left them out there for about 10 minutes in the backyard to go to the bathroom and all that stuff. And then after 10 minutes, I opened the backyard gate and the back door, and I let them back inside. But this was the part where it kind of started to kind of go wrong. So let's see. Okay, so I think there were two of them, and whenever I let them back inside the house, they kind of responded to me like an intruder. So they were like jumping up and like biting at me and stuff, and like kind of grabbing onto my clothes and all that stuff. And uh, I went I went back to my roommate's room to put him back in the cage, and let's see, I'm remembering how exactly it went. I think I was having a hard time getting him back in there, and whenever I did that, the other dogs, that were still in the room, they started freaking out too. So they were all, barking and stuff. Uh, I think I successfully, taken out one or two of them, but then when I went to let the next couple out, um, the other dogs were freaking out, and most of them ended up actually like breaking out of their cages. And so it was like a room full, like all these dogs, barking and jumping around and freaking out, and I ended up having to run out of there and run into the in the hallway. And one of them jumped up because they were like kind of nipping at me. One of them jumped up and they got me like right on the sleeve and like kind of got my arm a little bit, like not enough to like draw blood where you could see it, but I got like an internal bruise and stuff, and like tore my sleeve, and I was like freaking out at this point. So I ended up having to run into my room here and close the door and like, hold it shut because they were like trying to get in and stuff. And I had to call my roommates and pretty much admit to defeat, like, the experiment did not go well with me letting the dogs out. So someone had to come over and uh, let them back inside, because I think one or two of the dogs had gotten loose outside, and they had to take the dogs out. So that experience freaked me out, like it was like, damn, it's like it felt like, what is it inside me that's causing these animals to like freak out, to have this like this response to me. um and I ended up, later on, whenever I got back into earth waking, when I did awaken your purpose and awaken your destiny, I did my goal setting exercise, and one of them, oh yeah, here we go, it was one of my 3-year goals. I put all animals love me. I didn't want that to happen again.
That's um that's horrible. And not only that, why do they need 5 or 6 pit bulls? And why do they keep them locked in cages? It's not you, Joseph. It's the way those dogs are being treated by their owners. That is not right. I've had dogs my whole life. I'm a dog person. I'm a dog groomer. I've showed dogs. I've been around dogs all my life. That is not right. And that's what I'm saying. That's what God was telling me, you know. And they've trained people just like they've trained us to be small and to be controllable. They've trained people that it's okay to treat dogs that way, and then take them to the vet because they get sick and spend all this money on drugs and stuff, and it makes them sicker. I see the whole picture. Oh man, I'm on my soapbox now. I see the whole picture about so many things, and it just infuriates me. So I'm a loner too. I isolate. Yeah. I don't do well. I was at the hospital doing a stress test, and there was like 3 or 4 doctors in there. And this one doctor, the head doctor, he was going to share a joke he had about something going on with politics or something. And I just said, you know, I don't keep up anymore with 3D. I don't do 3D well at all. I can't even hardly function in 3D. I said, I've been in 4D for the last several years, and now I'm in and out of 5D, you know, and they all just kind of looked at me like, who are you? It was kind of funny, but yeah, I see a lot, and it just like, drives me nuts. Anyway, okay, back to you.
Um, yeah, thank you for that. So that gives some reassurance that it's not all me, although I'm sure
No,
part of it.
it's not you. That is not a way to treat, especially pit bulls. Pit bulls need to run. They were born to fight. It's not you at all. No, had nothing to do with you.
I received that. So on the bright side, I have noticed, since I set that goal a few months ago, I have noticed progress in the department of like animals loving me. So I spend a lot more time outside than I used to. I try to at least do enough walking around near my house, across the parking lot, across the street, to at least try to close my movement circles on the Apple Fitness thingy. And I don't do it every day. I've kind of relaxed on that since I started my fast, but I've noticed, when I've been outside, I see, all the animals, and I can feel like the connection with like the animals in nature. Like whenever I see an animal, I don't just take it as like, oh, there goes an animal. It's like it feels like a sign from God to me. And so I'll see the animal, and I'll look up the meaning, kind of like if you see something in a dream, I'll just look up the meaning of seeing whatever it was I saw, and then I'll read about it, and I'm like, oh, okay, yeah, that makes sense. And it's
That's cool. I do
reassuring.
that too. That's cool. I do that too. Yeah, that's awesome.
So one of the big ones that started maybe a month and a half ago or so, uh, I saw I was walking and I saw an owl under a tree, and I never see owls, so that was like really cool. And, I looked up the meaning and stuff, and I was like, wow, that's like a message. And then, later on, I started to see little yellow butterflies all over the place, and it started out just a few of them, and then it got to the point, even still recently, if I go outside, I just see like it's like I see tons of them, and I think the meaning for that was like creativity and like playfulness and stuff. And so I felt like that was like a beautiful message, very reassuring.
That's really cool. That's neat. Yeah, I see eagles. One of my big messengers is a blue heron that comes by. Just it came by last night when I was out on the deck, and I feel that it's the lady that used to own this place. I feel like it's her spirit, and her and I were really close, and the family's very dysfunctional, and her grandson lives over where she used to live now, and anyway, it's all kind of very dysfunctional, and she told me before she died, she said, you hold down the fort now. And when that blue heron comes by, I go, hi Phyllis, you checking up on things? Thank you, I needed this. I need your support. Yeah, there's my puppy.
Awesome. So yeah, I feel like I've been, seeing the animals, and also I've noticed, where most of the time, the animals, when humans come around, animals are like, they're gonna bolt, they're gonna run off because, like, humans are uh either an indifferent in most cases, or not the best thing to be around. So I've just been focused on being, calm and centered and loving and just at peace within myself, so that, anything that I come across in my environment, no matter what it is, like, I'm just gonna hold space and send love, and remain in that state, and practice not letting my body and, my emotions and stuff get, carried away by the fear response. And I've noticed a lot of progress. Um, so, like, the animals, they'll just come around me, and they'll even, oh, uh, after I started seeing the yellow butterflies, I had to go to this gym to get on Wi-Fi. And as I was doing coming to these classes and stuff, uh, these cats started to hang around me, and one of them was like really friendly, and he like came up, and when I sat down, he started head bumping me, on the legs and stuff. And I think at one point he might have even jumped up in my lap, and this was just a random cat that, and just wandered up. And there was another cat hanging around with them. They were just hanging out with me, and I felt really loved and supported. It even brought me to tears.
Yeah, that's really cool. Animals, they go by energy. They can feel your energy, with the energy that you put out. Well, yeah, almost all animals are that way. They feel the energy, and that when they know fight or flight,
Yeah,
yeah, they can feel the energy. So that's really cool.
yeah. That was a really nice breakthrough. And then besides the cats and the butterflies and the owl, um, let's see, I've noticed if I'm outside and, the dogs are outside, if I'm already in the place where the dogs are going, even the ones that like attacked me before, they're fine. Like, there's no aggression whatsoever. It's only like if I come into their space without being invited, by their owners, that's when they perceive me as like an intruder. It seems like some kind of, I guess, like dog psychology maybe.
Yeah, yeah,
But if
that's understandable. Yeah.
but if I'm in the kitchen, say, and they're passing through the house on their way to go outside, they don't pay me no mind at all, or they'll just, come up and sniff me or whatever, and it's totally fine. So it's kind of like it should be like that all the time.
So do the owners keep them in cages all the time?
Not all the time, but like most of the time. They've got,
That's awful.
oh
How
yeah,
would they like to live in a cage?
well, uh, there's two of the dogs that aren't, kept in the cages. They just kind of, you know, more or less have, free roam, but the rest of them, stay in the cages most of the time.
That's awful. What are they breeders or something?
No,
I know I know breeders that I got a puppy from a breeder that had a whole room, floor to ceiling, with cages with dogs in it, having pregnant or whatever puppies or whatever, and it was just they call them puppy mills, you know. That's horrible.
oh yeah, they don't do that, but they do. It is, they also feel like, it's a lot of dogs, and a lot of places that, you want to live in, you can't really have that many dogs, or if you do, you kind of have to keep it on the low. But most of the dogs, um, most of them are related. So there's like, a mom and a dad, and then they had puppies, and two of the dogs that are here now are like their puppies, and the rest of them, were given away.
I see. Okay.
Oh yeah. So besides, the dogs and the cats, I noticed also whenever I was, I do my walks across the street, I see a lot of squirrels, and so I looked up the meaning of the squirrels, and I was like, oh, that's beautiful. And then a week or two ago, um, I was walking around outside, and I saw an opossum, and the opossum just kind of looked at me and, crossed across the street, and I looked that up, and I was like, okay, possum. And there's so many of those squirrels that, I can just be standing somewhere and they'll just walk right up to me, like the close enough to where like we could touch each other, before they, they're carrying like a nut in their mouth or whatever before they go on their way.
It's really
So,
cool. You must have some good energy. I know you do. I told you that on your YouTube thing. I left a comment. You've got some really good energy going on. Yeah.
that's encouraging. I'll keep it up then. um, and so a funny part of it was, I set that goal for 3 years of all animals love me. And when I set the goal, I wasn't specific. I said all animals. So a couple of weeks ago, I was walking around outside and it was nighttime and I was on, one of our calls and I felt something like land on me, like back here. It was like an insect and I had no idea what it was. So like I wasn't gonna freak out because if it's a stinging insect or something that'll bite me, I don't want that to happen, obviously. So I was just kind of like, all right, well, the animals love me, so I guess they're gonna land on me and they're gonna hang out on me sometimes, and I'm okay with that. So I just, you know, I think I might have kept walking, but I was, kind of going slow and, steady because there was kind of something was hanging out on my neck. And eventually it left, but I was like, okay, yeah, even the
So you
insects
never
love me. Yes.
you never figured out what it was, huh?
Yeah, I have no idea what it was.
Oh.
But I've always been of the attitude that, like, even when something would get into my room, even if it's like a wasp or, a mosquito or something like that, or ants. Gosh, I had ants bad a few months ago in the whole house that were like that. You know, I would never want to like hurt them or kill them if I could help it. I would just kind of be like, okay, well, you're in my room, and I guess that's okay for now, but I hope you'll go outside soon because that's where you're meant to be.
Yeah,
And,
I'm feeling pretty bad because I used to kind of be like that, but with the ants, I use instead of a repellent, I use boric acid mixed with sugar water, and then
mhm,
soak cotton balls in it, and then you put the cotton ball down, and they take that back, and it kills the nest. They take it back to the nest, and it kills them, and then they move the nest, and then you have to keep. But pretty soon they're gone, until the following season or whenever they return again, and then you have to keep doing it. But I feel bad about doing it. And now I'm even like, if they're on my kitchen counter and I'm out there trying to do something, I'll just wipe them up with the dishcloth, and I feel bad, but
mhm.
yet I'm going, I'm giving you a new life, a new, you can evolve into something better or whatever. I don't know, but yeah, so just kind of
Yeah,
giving myself instead of feeling guilty about every little thing, I'm giving myself some room to just be, just making it easier. So anyway,
yeah. I mean, when it comes to stuff like, ants and like roaches and stuff like that, if they're like all up in your house, it's like I want to do the right thing, but like I also have to do the right thing for me, like I'm a human and I'm not supposed to be living in filth and like
yeah,
you
we
know.
even got a rat problem here, a really big rat problem here. My neighbors don't
Ooh.
help, because they got
Oh,
garbage everywhere and food outside, and and so it's not good. But anyway, so I got rats running around, but yeah, but I love living here. I love the farm. I'm a country girl, and I don't have anything. I'm on SSI. I have no money, and I just feel so blessed that God put me here, and I'm just going to deal with what's happening because I know that it's going to get better.
Mm.
You know, he's told me that, you know, I've looked at other places because I've been through a lot here, you know, especially having PTSD. There's been a lot going on, and
Yeah.
uh, you know, I've just prayed, and he keeps telling me that's your home. You just stay put. You know, I've looked to move on, but and I've been in places, you know, I've had to move on several times in my life. And God always makes it really clear. It just something just kind of like drops in my lap and just kind of all goes together, you know.
Yeah.
And I was looking, and everything I tried to put together, my son was even going to buy me a place, and every listing I sent him, he turned his nose up at, or, you know, nothing went together. So I guess what he says, that this is my place, is this must be for my place, you know. So I'm just staying put and making the best of it, and just looking forward to the changes that are going to happen, the positive changes, you know. And I can feel them already. That's why I'm saying I feel like I'm entering into this new realm of positivity and everything. And it's gosh, it's, oh man, it's just so overwhelming. It's like I step into it and oh wow, really? You know, can I really step here? It's really cool. Yeah, it's really, and I guess that's a whole thing that's happening with the uh, chosen ones now, the ascension souls of the star seeds and things, and the
Yeah.
portals that are happening, and all the different things. It's that time for all of us, you know, that are on this journey. Um, it's just how much where you are at on the journey, you know, as to how much what's going to open up for you and how much you're going to be able to receive and all of that. So yeah, but yeah, I can sure feel it, and it feels wonderful. So that's part of the master class, huh? Infinite abundance.
Yeah.
I don't know what your master class was all about, but that's infinite abundance to me. I never was into the world. I had so many different options to oh, you know, be all kinds of different things, you know. You know, when I was hitchhiking, I was all over the states, in Hollywood 3 times, and one trucker wanted to take me to New York to meet his mom so she could help me become a model and all this kind of stuff, you know. I mean, I had all kinds of opportunities. Even before that, you know, I worked, and my bosses all really loved me, and I had all kinds of guys, man. Joseph, I had so many guys that were after me, and I could have, if I wanted money, I could have married so many times, and I could have been a rich bitch, you know, so many times, you know.
Yeah.
And I just turned my nose up at them all, you know, and I said, "Hey, I'm looking for God. I'm on down the road here, because I'm not after money. I'm not after fame. I'm not after material. This world doesn't show me anything. You know, there's something bigger and better, and that's what I'm after." So yeah. So anyway,
Awesome. All right. Let's see. Just gonna look over my script real quick and see if there's anything that I feel inspired to include.
have we been having our class?
uh, I've been leaning
I thought
more.
we were, huh?
I've been leaning more into the feminine energy of just go with the flow, you know?
Yeah, yeah. I thought we were visiting, but it's been good. Yeah, thanks.
Yeah, it's I'm gonna have more than one of these, so every class is gonna be different as I grow and as the circle grows, hopefully too. So I'll just start out with a little mind map that I made here, and that doesn't have like extensive notes or anything, so I can just kind of riff off of it. So this was um I used this originally for a YouTube video that I made to promote this master class. And so, it's about unleashing infinite abundance. And I guess my niche would be people who are procrastinating because I've had all these problems in my life. Um, I've struggled with loneliness, depression, anxiety, just not really knowing what to do, and procrastination. And over the last few months, I've noticed that my breakthroughs, you know, in like my life as a whole, it really came about when I started to overcome procrastination. Because I'm not just sitting in my room, and I'm not just watching YouTube videos and playing games and just doing. I'm not just kind of existing anymore. I'm actually taking steps towards the person that God's calling me to be. And when you start to do it, man, it feels good. So let's see. My story. Um, I wrote so. I actually, the part where you talk about yourself is supposed to be like really brief, but I ended up writing like a lot of stuff. So I'll probably end up including that stuff in my book when I write it, so I can kind of integrate all of the history with the learning that I've experienced. Um, so I'll just see what comes from the heart. My story: when I was born, my parents got a divorce shortly after that, and so I grew up in a fairly broken family, not super unhappy. Like my parents both loved me, and I always loved it when I was with them. Uh, but when I was a little kid, I started to feel lonely a lot of the times. And whenever I've had my breakthroughs, with earth waking, a lot of times the memories that come up for me, when they ask like, when is the first time you remember feeling like like I'm not enough, or um, just a couple days ago we had the doing well while doing good, and I remembered that when I was a little kid, the adults around me, they would say that I was spoiled. And that kind of, like, when you're a kid, you don't even really know what that means, but as you grow up, you start to learn, you start to understand it more. And it's like, looking back at it, it's like, damn, why did they say that to me? It's like they were using their word against me, it feels like, without realizing it. Because, like,
What
spoiled.
was it? What was it they said?
They said I was spoiled, like
You were spoiled?
yeah, like when the adults are spoiling the kids, they're giving them all this stuff,
Uh-huh.
and the gifts, and giving them treats and taking them out, and they call it spoiling them, and it's like, why do we call it that, because it feels like that started to, you know it started to impact my path going forward. um so, like, some of the memories that I first felt not spoiled, but like the opposite of that, where I felt like I wasn't important, or like worthy of like time and attention, and or love. There were incidents where my parents were doing something and I wanted their attention, but I wasn't really able to. Like, I got it, but they didn't do the thing that I wanted them to do. So, like, there was this one time with my mom where I was a kid, and I think I was watching a movie. I don't remember what it was. It might have been like Top Gun or something like that. I used to love watching those movies when I was a kid. And I think my mom was doing like college homework or something on the computer. And I probably wanted her, to come watch the movie with me, I would imagine. And like when I tried to get her attention, um, I feel like I remember she didn't really like look at me, but she talked to me. But she wouldn't leave what she was doing, and I felt kind of rejected by that. Um, and then there was a parallel incident that happened with my dad. Every 2 weeks, I would leave my mom's house. My dad would pick me up, and I would visit him for the weekend. And he at that when I was really little, he lived with his parents. He was working, but he stayed with his parents. Um, and on a Sunday, I think my dad had promised to take me to the movies or something. and it was like it was or early in the afternoon when he said that, and I was really looking forward to it. So like I was you know I was doing whatever I was doing, but I was also waiting. I was like, I can't wait to go. And after several hours went by, I was fine, like, well, maybe he forgot, so I'll go remind him. So I went in the living room where my dad was sitting, and I'm pretty sure he was watching, like, Sunday afternoon or night football. And I asked him about going to the movies, and I don't even remember what he said, but I'm pretty sure we didn't end up going. So I felt, I felt bad about that. And I think that planted those incidents, it planted the procrastination seed inside me, because I felt like, you know, if I'm not important enough for my parents to like drop what they're doing and give me their full attention and, do whatever the thing is that I'm wanting to do with them, spending time or whatever, it's like it makes me feel like I'm not that important. And I don't think I don't know that they said that to me directly, but other adults definitely said that, like in school and stuff, or, just in general. Like, adults talking to kids, they're like, you're just a kid. You don't know what life's like, you're not important. Just, be quiet. They were always at school, telling everyone to be quiet so the teacher could teach. And, you know, I took that personally. Like, people said when I was really little that that I wasn't shy at all. I was like, I guess outgoing and all that. But around the time I started going to school, and, kids started to get punished for stuff, the way I remember it, which, probably isn't entirely accurate, but I remember groups of us being punished, and, not all of us that were being punished had anything to do with what we were being punished for. So like I got some like resentment, like towards the teachers, like, this isn't fair, this isn't just. I'm being punished for no reason. Like even if I'm being good, it feels like I'm still gonna be punished. So like, what's the point? So all of that kind of culminated in me becoming extremely shy and barely talking at all, to anyone. Mostly at school, but also growing up, even at family gatherings and at home sometimes, like I would never really express myself to the extent that my heart wanted to, because I felt like it was bad to do that. I felt like I wasn't supposed to. So I was getting all these mixed messages, people were saying, "Oh, he's shy," and I don't being a kid, you don't really know what to do with that, I didn't know that letting them put that sentence on me and accepting it was going to make me that, even though I didn't want to be that. And it was just like the shyness and the social anxiety. And, I eventually became depressed. And all of that was also tied up with procrastination, because, it felt like if I'm not important, why should I even, try to take care of me or like, go for my dreams and stuff? Because it's like, everyone's giving you a set of rules to follow, go to school, get good grades, and then go to college and then get a job and, just settle for that life. And my whole life, I felt, that something was off. I've always been like a truth seeker. And I always felt, just there was always something off, like it wasn't going to the heart of what this life is supposed to be. Whoa. I almost started crying there. I really get into my heart. So yeah, that's the mess side of my life. Just a lot of shyness and procrastination, and feeling torn between like I want to follow my heart and I want to follow my dreams, but on the other hand, it's like if if I don't follow the set of rules that they're giving me, I'm not going to succeed. So it's like, what do you do?
I can feel that. We're a lot alike. I had a lot of trauma in my childhood, which made me isolate and be alone. And there was so much dysfunction in my family that I could see through and was a victim of, to alcoholism and things like that, perfectionism and all kinds of stuff. But my dad favored me. I was his tomboy, so that was always fun. Except my sister, my sister and my mother didn't like me because my dad favored me, and then he was gone all the time because he was drank and work. He was a workaholic and an alcoholic, and then in his free time, we had fun together, and it was really dysfunctional. But luckily, I lived on a farm like I do now, and I could just go be with the animals and God and nature, and it was pretty cool. But yeah, I understand what you're saying completely because I feel like the same way. And then the procrastination, I've had that so much my whole life because I didn't feel good enough, you know. So we'll just
Yeah.
put that on the back burner because you're not good enough anyway. And there's so many other people that are so much better than you, and you're just a piece of shit. And but I'm getting over that's part of what I'm stepping into now. That's kind of like a fog. It's kind of dissipating. Yeah, pretty cool. Yeah, so we're on the same page there. That's probably why I'm here with you. I can relate to your spirit. Yeah, from the get-go. So cool.
Thank you. um, so
And
let's,
this thing is being recorded, right? I was just going, oh no, this
yes.
is being recorded. So I'm
Uh,
just blurting out this stuff, and I'm going, oh crap, this is being recorded.
no, it's perfect. Thank you. Yeah, I started recording as soon as it hit 5 o'clock. I'm like, here it is. It's time to go.
So what do you do with it? What do you do with the recording? Are other people going to hear this?
Yeah, this will
I
be
don't know.
this is my first official Unleashing Infinite Abundance Masterclass,
Oh
and
no.
it's not super structured. It's not like, obviously it's just me and you, so there's not like a whole class of people. Originally I was going to try to kind of address it as if it was, but this feels pretty good, so I'm just going with the flow. So I talked about my story. I'll probably talk about it a little bit more, but I want to go into the rest of my mind map. So when I made that YouTube video, the idea is, three big mistakes that every procrastinator makes, and how I discovered the mistakes. So how I discovered it has been my entire life, getting mixed results, or no results. um, let's see. So when I first started to notice like procrastination like really impacting my life, I think I was in intermediate school or middle school, and I ended up being put in the advanced math classes like pre-algebra and algebra and stuff like that. And I really was not very good at math, or at least I had, my own limiting beliefs, and, whatever was going on was preventing me from being good at math. And the way that that manifested was I would procrastinate and not do my homework. And part of the reason, it wasn't just that I was like lazy and I didn't want to do my homework, but whenever I would actually try to do my homework, if it was like English or something, that was usually, any other subject, I could breeze through it and, get really good grades and all that. But with math, I would, take my book home, and I would look at my homework, and I would try to do it, and I might make some progress, but, and it could have been because I was like daydreaming in class or not fully paying attention was probably part of it, or just even though I was hearing the words, it wasn't absorbing. So like when I tried to do my homework, it felt like I didn't know what I was doing for the most part. So I would sit there with that notebook, that textbook, and my homework, and I would be like stuck there for hours, just like stuck, not knowing what to do, and it was horrible. Like just the whole experience was like torture for me, like emotionally and psychologically, because I'm a young kid. I wanted to read my books and play my video games or watch TV or go outside and play, but like I got to do my homework, you know. And whenever I would try to do it, it would just suck. Almost every time I tried to do math homework, it was horrible. And my parents didn't know anything about math. So if I tried to ask them for help, they weren't really in a position to help me with it. So unless I was visiting, you know, like specific grandparents or people like that, I wouldn't really have anyone outside of myself to turn to. And I think this was like fifth and sixth grade. Um, and seventh and eighth grade, I was, taking my math classes and I was having a hard time, with my homework and stuff. And my mom was like, well, why don't you just, call your math teacher and have her help you or like tutor you or whatever. And so I was like, okay, well, I guess that's a good suggestion. That's what my mom told me to do. So I went to school and I asked my teacher, if I could get like her phone number or whatever so I could ask for help. But she said that, she didn't give out her personal number to like students and stuff, which, probably makes sense because teachers get there like, 7 in the morning and then they might be there till 4 or 5 in the afternoon. So like, they want to go home and live their lives, which is totally understandable. But for me being a kid needing help, I was kind of like, well, shit, I don't really know what I'm supposed to do here, like to get help. So you know, I, I would I would do okay or badly in math most of the time, but I never did well, and so that turned into a whole, uh, maybe you might call it a complex, where I would just beat myself up for it because it's like I'm good in all these subjects. Everyone says I'm so smart, but if I'm so smart, why am I so bad at this, and why can't I get it right? Uh, and yeah, that it started in like middle school, and I dealt with that same problem like all throughout high school, where I would be in these advanced classes, and if it was English, I would be like perfect student almost, doing really well. But if it was math, or if it was like science that involved math stuff, those classes I ended up doing really badly in, or even failing in some cases. And so like, I had to retake one of my science classes, and I felt really shitty because of that. Like, you feel like an imposter, like, oh, I'm a smart kid here, but I'm an idiot in this subject, so it's like I must not be that smart after all. And just all this shame, inside of me, like shame that I had to carry with me for years, and even still probably a little bit is still there, to work through, that just sabotaged me, like I sabotaged myself because I saw myself as a, like a procrastinator, and you know, maybe I'm smart in some things but stupid in others. So it's like, if you want to get into the best college, you got to be perfect at everything. So it's like, damn, it's like, what's wrong with me? And I never was able to overcome it during the time that I was, in school. I just kept on having to suffer through, you know, procrastinating on homework. Uh, when I went to high school, I remember we were given homework, from our new teacher that we hadn't met yet, from our current teacher to do over the summer. And I remember not doing the homework and, procrastinating on that. And so the first day of class, when it came time to, turn in your assignments and stuff, it's like, oh, well, me and several others were already starting off on the wrong foot. and like we're feeling like shit because we didn't get our work done. So like, the last minute, I don't remember if I was like trying to do it before I went to school. I think I was even trying to do it while I was at school, like frantically trying to get the equations done and whatever. And that was leading into geometry. And I just remember, the new teacher, she was kind of a strict teacher. Like she wasn't mean, but she was like stern and strict. And so like, you know, whenever, you know, uh the kids who didn't get it done, when we had to be exposed, she gave us that, that disappointment, like what, why didn't you do your assignment, like we weren't getting away with it, we had to suffer the pain. And looking back, I can appreciate her for that, because what else is the teacher going to do? She's not going to do it for you. If you're in this class, you're supposed to do it. But that procrastination, it always had its claws in me. So I would just not get stuff done like I was supposed to, and then I would suffer the consequences with other people, and I would suffer it with myself, and I would just feel like shit. So yeah, that's me talking a little bit more about how procrastination first started to show up in my life. I was in school.
This is really this is good. This is really good because it's getting in there and I can relate so much. And so it's going to help me a lot. Thank you for sharing all that.
You're welcome.
Yeah, it's going to help me a lot. Because procrastination is, like I said, because I just don't think I'm good enough.
Yep.
Or I don't know. Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, cool.
The more that like the more that we act from that state of not feeling like we're good enough, the more that our external reality, reinforces it. Like, oh, you're not getting it done still. Yep, you must not be good enough. It's like, damn. It's like it's a vicious cycle. So that was some of the most painful part of my life with the procrastination. And when I went, well, there's a little bit more to share. I'll try to make this part brief. So, in my last year, a senior in high school, you know, um, you're getting all these letters from colleges encouraging you to apply, so you can get accepted to a college. And, my mom was really hardcore about me going to like the Ivy League schools, like the best ones, like Harvard or, something like that, or even going to like West Point, like the military academy. She was even pushing for me to, go do stuff like that. And I felt I felt so, um, such a disharmony, or, being on a different page from like what she wanted from me, and from like what I felt about myself and what I was experiencing. So I felt like, she was pushing me towards this really bright future of like success and stuff. And it was like her pushing me towards that bright light. It was like it was burning me because I didn't feel worthy of it. And what ended up happening in my senior year was I procrastinated on putting in like, college applications and stuff. And there was this one place that I really wanted to go. It was Washington University in St. Louis. And like something about that college, it just called to me, like if it felt like it was my soulmate, like I'm meant to go there and be there and do that. But I got part of an application done, but I didn't get all the stuff done. So whenever I sent that into them, you know, they acknowledged that they had received, what I had sent in, but they said we still need this, this, and this. And this was probably in like, I think the deadlines were probably in like February or something of like 2012. And I ended up, missing the deadline. So I wasn't like I wasn't enrolled or accepted to go to any college. And since I was running out of time, for high school, I was like freaking out, like really beating myself up because I didn't want to have to go out and like get a job because I felt like if I ended up doing that, then I would just end up like so many people who just they work their low paying job and they go there day after day for years and years, and their dreams, they just slowly die inside and they never go for their dreams, and they just end up being a wage slave. And you just get stuck in this mediocre or you know s- or whatever is a step below that, just being poor and barely getting by and living this life of not fulfillment, just doing what you're told and building money and building wealth for someone else. And I was always a free thinker, so like I always saw the problems with that very clearly, like, and I was like, I do not want that for myself. So I had a very strong aversion, to getting a job, even though, if I had actually done it, I probably would have, enjoyed some of it if I had been able to let go of some of my resistance. Like, it would have helped my social skills, I'm sure, because, despite taking wrestling and debate class in high school, I still had a lot of room to grow in that area. And after the part where I didn't get accepted to any colleges because I procrastinated, I was like, well, shit, I don't have college in place and I don't want to get a job. So, like March, about before my 18th birthday, a Marine recruiter came to my high school, and he gave his pitch about the military, and specifically the Marines was who was he was representing. And I felt kind of like, okay, if I can't go to the college I want, this really sounds like this is maybe a good path for me to take. uh, there was like a whole list of like pros and cons. On the pros side, I could feel that this is definitely going to be stepping out of my comfort zone, like me being quiet and shy and like not super physically like gifted, athletically and stuff. Like joining the military would really push me to grow in those areas, and even like in terms of leadership and stuff. And so something in me just said, you know what, he was sitting it was during lunch one day in the cafeteria, and he had like a little table set up, where we could come and talk to him. And I was like, I was in my boldness, and I went up and I talked to him, and told him I was interested. And he kind of he was pretty cool. He gave me like kind of a he gave me a challenge that was also a call to action, which I love. I think he said, if you're really serious about this, um, when you get off of school, like today, uh, give me a call. And he gave me, I think, his business card or whatever with his phone number on it. And I said, okay, I will. And he said, no, you won't. Or, or something similar to that. He's like, well, yeah, a lot of people, everyone says they're going to do it, but most of them don't. And I was like, oh, okay. I hear a challenge. So I accepted the challenge, and I did call him. And I went up to the little recruiting office, and I took I ended up taking the ASFAB, the military entrance processing station at MIPS is what the acronym stands for, and I got almost a perfect score on the ASFAB. So uh, I was taking a lot of steps on this path, of going into the military. And every weekend, and maybe a few times during the week, but at least once a week, he would pick me up, or somebody would, and we would go um, to like a little meeting where we were called poolees, people who were interested in going in the military, but we hadn't been shipped out yet. and we would all get together, and the Marines, the people who were in service, they would work with us, and we would like work out together and stuff, and it was kind of like a team building exercises, and all this stuff. We would do pull-ups and push-ups and sit-ups, and all that kind of stuff. And it was it was challenging, but it was also a growing environment, and it was positive in that sense. um but this all happened over the course of like from March going into maybe like July, August, September of 2012. And what I was what I was wanting to do was to be a linguist, because I've always had interest in like other languages, especially like like German. I would really have loved to be like a translator, like learn German and get paid for that, and somehow do that in the military. So that's what I was really going for, because I got a good score on the ASVAB. I was qualified for it, at least as far as that would go. Um, but before they were going to have me go out, um, my recruiter told me that I guess they didn't have a spot for that particular job that I was going for. So they were going to put me in like intelligence, which, military intelligence, that would have been good too. I would have gotten a top secret security clearance, and I would have been doing whatever that job was if I had gone. Um, but whenever he told me that, that was kind of like a blow. Like that really bothered me that I wasn't going to get to do what my heart wanted to do. And also, uh, when we went to MEPS, there was the first time that we swore in, which I did. And then right before you actually ship out to boot camp, I think you swear in a second time. So I had done it the first time, and it was getting close to the time where they were going to have me ship out. And it seemed kind of random. Like when several of us went to MEPS, the military dudes, they were just like, okay, you're going to go in January, you're going to go in November, you're going to go at this time, you're going to go at that time. And I think what they told me was like, you're going to go in like September, or I think it was gonna be like really soon, like September or something. And for me, like I felt like I didn't have enough time to prepare. And so I was really freaking out. I was like wishing they would give me a few more months to prepare so I could like work out and, do all this stuff. I wanted to train my body so that, when I went to boot camp, it wouldn't kill me. Or like, I was afraid I didn't want to be unprepared and end up, washing out or whatever you call it. So all of this stuff coming for me so quickly it was like I was really freaking out. And I guess the culmination of it happened one day. I was in my room and I was like meditating, and I don't remember how long I was sitting there, like, meditating or whatever, but it felt like it was like I just got this intuitive sense that like, this whole thing that I'm pursuing is like not what I'm supposed to do. And when I got that, I felt like it was like I was being it was like I was being told to do the wrong thing almost, because since I had sworn in, it's kind of like, you're making a promise. And now it's like it's like something's coming up in me, whether I'm receiving it from God or whether it's just me, having cold feet. Something's telling me that like I should not do this, that like it's the wrong path for me. And so I was just sitting in my room meditating, and I got really upset, and I started like I got really despondent and started like crying and stuff. And my mom opened the door and she asked me what was wrong. And I already felt like so ashamed. So I didn't want to tell her. and I was just crying, and my mom, she was asking me like, is it this? Is it this? And she, eventually, pretty quickly, she guessed it. Is it like the military? You don't want to go? And I was like, yeah. Um, and she was like, okay. Um, and she probably asked me why, and I probably told her. And what happened was she did some research and she found some kind of GI rights like website where like it basically says, if you haven't like shipped off, then you're within your rights to not go. Um, so even though you've signed all this paperwork and it feels official, you still have the right to refuse. Um, and I was like, okay, so technically I'm allowed to say no to this thing that I already said yes to, but I'm still gonna feel like shit because I have to face all the consequences of going back on my word. So when I told my recruiter, he ended up coming to my house one day after school, and it was like probably like 6 or 7 or 8 hours, maybe not that long, but it was like several hours where he was sitting with me on my front porch, talking to me about my decision and why I was changing my mind, and trying to get me to change it back and go ahead and be enlisted and stuff. And uh, during this conversation, my great uncle who lived a house, in the house next to ours, he ended up coming over and talking with me about it too. And he was like kind of understanding where I was coming from, but he was also saying kind of like, sometimes in life there's things that we have to do. Um, and for me, it was like it was so painful because it's like I'm being given all these messages from the outside that you need to do this thing, and for some reason, after a few days, my mom, she was like so supportive at first. She like totally flipped and changed her mind, and she was on the side of like wanting me to go. So like I was getting all this pressure from my mom's entire side of the family that like, you need to do this. Like you've already committed to it. Like, what's wrong with you? You said you're all gung ho on doing this thing, and now you're changing your mind. Now you're going back on it. Like, what's the matter with you? And I was just getting all this shame from the people in my life. And that night where my recruiter came and talked to me, after school, like that was one of the most emotionally draining, like devastating experiences like of my life. Just having to go through that. Like it was really painful emotionally for me. And I ended up not going, but the fallout of the decision ended up being that um my dad's side of the family was the complete opposite reaction of my mom's side of the family. So they were they were all proud of me. They're like, "Oh, you made the right decision." They never wanted me to go to the military in the first place. So my mom gave me an ultimatum, either get a job or go to the Marines. So I ended up moving out of my mom's house for several weeks, and staying with my dad, and that was kind of like a phase in my journey, and just I don't know, there was a lot of really intense stuff going on during that time of my life after I turned 18. Besides, almost going to the military and not going, my parents had given me like a bank account with almost like $6,000 in it, and I was trying to start like online businesses and all this stuff, and I ended up losing all the money because I procrastinated on that stuff too. And it was just I really dug a hole for myself that like affected my life even up until now. So yeah, that was a lot. What do you think?
Well, it sounds like I'm not the only, excuse me. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah.
I've changed, I unplugged and I'm off my amp and microphone, but anyway, it sounds like I'm not the only one that sees this potential in you. Now, maybe you're starting to see it in yourself. And what I'm learning, and also my grandson, I'd like to hook you up with him. I don't know, I've been estranged from family. I don't do family well at all, so we don't even know each other. But he
Hmm.
shared his YouTube channel with me, and he's into making music. I don't know how he does it, but it's putting things together online. Anyway, it's pretty cool. And so I shared it with Bradley. Do you know Bradley? Um, Bradley True. He has the full moon and new moon concerts. He's with
Uh,
Earthquake. Yeah,
yeah, I've
I'll
seen
send
him,
you
but I don't know if I talked to him.
I'll send you the link to this Thursday. He's having a concert. I'll send you the link and you can come. I sent it to my grandson too. Maybe you guys can hook up. Um,
Okay.
um, you know, maybe you could help him because he's trying to figure things out too, and he's really talented. And I shared the YouTube channel with Bradley, and Bradley said he felt he was talented also, and he told me to tell him to listen to the Muse. And so I looked up Muse. That's me, I have to look things up. So I Googled Muse, and it's pretty much listen to that inner voice, listen to the creative voice within you and not the outside voices. And it sounds like that's what you did. You had all these people that saw this potential in you like I do, and they were trying
Mhm.
to guide you to the bright lights, just like I had people trying to put me in the bright lights. And I said, no, that's not what I want.
Yeah.
Fame, fortune, money, all that. That's not what I want. And so it sounds like you are listening to that voice. And so you should actually really pat yourself on the back.
Thank you. I see
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. We have been taught to beat ourselves up. We have been taught to stay small, and to make, that inner critic to make ourselves feel bad about ourselves and whatnot. And I'm just seeing so much of this, just like with the animal world and all the different things that are going on with all sorts of different things, the elections and all kinds of crap. I've seen it my whole life.
Yeah.
But anyway, so that's my feedback on all that.
Mm.
That helps at all.
Thank you for sharing that. Um, what I'm receiving is that, I was hearing an intuitive voice that was telling me to do this, and everyone else was telling me to do that, and you're giving me approval for following my intuition. So I thank you for that.
I'm learning that too. And there's times that I just sit and just thank God. And I have a sign. I have signs all over my house. I have a sign on my wall in there that says I am amazing. And I look at that sign and I go, oh my God, girl, you are amazing. Look at everything. And you stuck to your guns. That's Sammy. Yosemite Sammy. He's my I don't know what you call it, but yeah, he was born when I got off the road hitchhiking. And he's inside of me. Anyway, uh, yeah, I stuck to my guns and didn't fall for any of the crap, and just even now people tell me what I shouldn't be, especially in church. They've stopped because they see a stubborn, person here that's gonna do their own thing,
Yeah.
and And then it's really cool because the Holy Spirit actually confirms, you know, what I have chosen and what they have told me and what I chose, and then I was wrong for choosing that, but then he confirms that my choice was correct. And so they're actually kind of looking at me in a whole different way now, you know. And
Mm,
so it's pretty cool. Yeah. So you, just like Bradley told me to tell my grandson, you know, listen to that muse, that inner voice, you know, that's guiding you. Because we are so trained to be a slave. We're so trained to just be and that's like I told one of the gals in church. She's really into dogs, and everybody was telling me I needed to get Romeo trained, and he's just awful. He's not trained at all. uh, but I told her one day, and I was gonna do it, but then they were busy, and I didn't have a, you know, it never went together, just like the house, you know, just like moving, it didn't go together. So and you know, I've trained my own dogs all my life. And they're, yeah, you can tell he's spoiled. I don't know, he's got some weird energy going on right now, but he feels my energy and kind of follows along. But I told her one day when she was getting on me, I said, she has like, she's into dobies and, you know, having them, you know, she has secret signals that she gives them for attack, you know. I don't want to be around them because I know the secret. You know, her husband, you know, told me. I said, no, I don't think I want my puppy around that kind of stuff. And so anyway, I told her one day, I said, it just kind of came out. I said, you know, I want a companion. I don't want a trained robot. And
right.
that's like what the world does. They train us to be a robot for the system. And if we don't do what we're told to do or trained to do, then we're no good. We're trash. I've been trashed my whole life, but yet I succeeded at everything I did. My bosses loved me. I sold real estate. I did all the people loved me. You know, I got into big, you know, people with money loved me, and got into high rollers and stuff. I said, hey, you high rollers aren't, your integrity is off. I'm out of here. I'm not into this. I'm not into the bucks. I'm not into the money. I'm into other, you know, helping people and integrity and all of that. And anyway, so yeah. So listen to that voice. Yeah, that's cool.
Thank
That's something I think all of us that are on this path, that's something that we have to learn. You know, I think everybody has that in their background, is being trained to be a robot, and we have to shed that and become who we were, who God created us to be. Yeah, and I'm
mm,
doing the same thing. I'm right there with you.
thank you. So that was the earliest part of my life. Um, after the not going to the military or college or getting a job, after high school, I ended up just kind of being at home for about a year. Um, and you know, I'd gone back to stay with my mom. And one day in like 2013 or something, maybe 14, something like that. One day my mom, you know, she just had me go with her, and she just dropped me off literally at the local hometown college in the city where I lived, and just dropped me off and said, go enroll. And I was like, oh, all right, well, I guess this is happening now. So, like, you know, I had some resistance, not so much resistance, but just like total uncertainty of like what I'm supposed to be doing because I don't really want to do any of it. So I ended up applying for college, and yeah, I'm from Oklahoma. So very unfortunately, because I had taken that year off of school, I was not able to get Oklahoma Promise, which, if I remember correctly, I could have possibly gotten all my college paid for if I had done that. Um, but I wasn't able to do that. So when I enrolled, you know, obviously college is pretty expensive. And because I was, you know, procrastinating, and also because I was having to do this at like the last minute, I did not end up getting any scholarships, I don't think. So I wasn't, you know, my way was not being paid. Um, I'm I'm Native American, so the Choctaw Nation, they would pay for some of my textbooks, and I was able to get some grants, to get some stuff paid for, but I wasn't able to get the whole thing paid for. So I ended up having to take out federal loans, which was like over $5,000 worth, to pay my way through college. And I started going to college, and my first semester there, um, I wanted to experience, like actually being in college, the social life and all that. So even though it was in the same city where I lived, when it came time for, the semester to start, I moved into the dorm room at the college, and it was like a new adventure for me. I was like, okay, I'm doing this now, and I moved to the dorm room, and I started going to my classes, and a lot of colleges you still have to do what they call the basics, before you can really do the stuff that you really want to do, which was okay with me because I still wasn't sure what I wanted to do, what I wanted to study. So I ended up picking, for the time being, uh, a double major in business and communications because I could see that, like, business, I don't necessarily have like a passion for like business itself, but I know that I need to be in business for myself, like not working for someone else. I need to be an entrepreneur, build my own business and give values to people, from my heart. And then communications, obviously growing up and, dealing with shyness and social anxiety, communications was an area that I really wanted to work on. Like, I could feel myself like it was outside of my comfort zone in an area that I needed to grow in. So, my first semester, I took some classes, and I noticed, um, after a couple of months that I wasn't doing too well in many of my subjects, like math, mainly math, and there might have been a few other ones. And what was happening was the pattern of procrastination was like playing out. But now I was in college, and there's also money on the line. So it's like shit. If I procrastinate on this, I'm gonna fail this class, and then I'm gonna have to take it over again. And it's costing even more money if I'm gonna be lazy about this. So I started trying to really get my homework done and stuff like that. But the problem that I had was whenever I would, finish my classes, I guess sometimes I would do my homework outside of my dorm room. But I guess my comfort zone at the time was like, I really want to just be in my dorm room and work on my homework. But my roommate, he would stay up really late, like with the TV on and stuff. And, sometimes talking on the phone. Like, he wasn't disruptive like himself. He was pretty chill and stuff. But all, in the same like little cluster with our hallway and stuff, there was another room, and there were some people that were quite a bit louder in there, and they were like partying and stuff sometimes. So it wasn't an environment that was very conducive to studying. And also with my roommate, having the TV on late up at night, like I wasn't really able to study and do homework, or even, to sleep on like a healthy schedule like I would have wanted to. So near the end of the semester, I finally decided that, like, okay, uh, living on campus, if I could live by myself, living on campus would work. Um, but there's the fact that it's not working and I'm not doing well in school. And there's also the fact that, living on campus, that obviously costs extra. So I ended up making the decision to move back home. And so I ended up, it was like October, November, and I ended up moving my stuff out of the dorm room. And the RA, the person in charge of like the dorms and stuff, was like really, he was really nice and cool and understanding and stuff, and he helped me, with the process. And I ended up moving all my stuff out and moving back home. And this was the point in my life where I actually, uh, where I experienced my first breakthrough. So now I'll start to blend my story into, um, it's my story. It's how I discovered my mistakes and how I solved the problems and like my expertise on the procrastination thing. So the three mistakes that every procrastinator makes. The very first thing that you have to figure out if you're in a state of procrastination, and part of the challenge is, your heart maybe it wants a lot of things and you want to move in all these different directions, but like if you split your energy in too many different places, it's kind of like multitasking where like if you're not fully committed to the thing that you're doing right now, you're only getting like partial results in all these different areas. So the first step in overcoming procrastination is to, set a clear idea of what do I want. And if you want a lot of different things and if you're used to, not making a choice, then you can actually, I could get stuck there for a really long time, just like not wanting to pick one thing. Even when it comes to like, building a business, what everyone's saying is like you need to pick a niche. Like who is your target audience and what is your thing that you work on? And like me, I've got like, well, I want to help everyone, and I want to help everyone with all the stuff that we got going on. Like, I want to be like, your shyness. I want to help you with that. Your depression, we can get rid of that. Your anxiety, we can get rid of that. Making money, I want to help you with that. Your social skills, I want to help with that. Procrastination, I can help you with that. Like I want to do all this stuff, like why should I limit myself? Um, but when I pick one direction, which is procrastination for this Unleashing Infinite Abundance Masterclass, I can focus my energy on that. So step one is decide what you want. And I've, kind of nailed that down. I'm doing this masterclass right now, and my focus is on overcoming procrastination and unleashing infinite abundance. So the breakthrough that I had, um, which also ties into step number two, after you decide what you want, you figure out or allow yourself to receive, how do I get it? Like, what is maybe not even how do I get it exactly, but like step into the energy of having it and allow yourself to be guided, you know, into what is the next step that I need to take to get the outcome that I want. So in my case, I was in college. I wasn't doing great, in school with my homework and stuff. And I wanted to do well. Like I wanted to get good grades and I wanted to be proud of myself for the work that I did. And how did I get it? So um, I don't remember watching a video or learning from anyone that like triggered this to happen with me. But I knew that, people who are successful, they have schedules, and, people who are like, successful and like getting to know themselves or, being a writer or being creative and stuff, they have like a diary or a journal where they write about, their life or, whatever it is they're choosing to write about. So what I ended up coming up with was something that I guess I can say with integrity that I invented it because I never saw anyone else do it. I still haven't. And what I came up with was what I call the ScheJournal. So it's half schedule, half journal. So I'll turn my camera around so I can show you what I'm talking about here. Um, so as you can see on the left side of the page, I write the date and what day of the week it is. And then here on the left, whenever I would, wake up, or the way I did it when I was in college was I would decide this is when I want to wake up. And then for all the hours of the day, from the time that I wake up until I go to sleep, what I used to do was, in order to get my homework done and stuff, I would schedule, I'll be like, here, I'm going to do my math homework. Here, for this hour, I'm going to do my science homework, or, whatever it was. So I was in that phase of scheduling my entire day, all the homework that I need to get done. And, since I was living at home, I also had chores. So I would schedule when I wanted to do the dishes, when I wanted to mow the yard. I would schedule when I was going to do the laundry. I would schedule when I was going to read books, either for college or just for myself, because I love to read. I would schedule what I was going to read and when I was going to do it. Um, I was like exploring when I had all this time and I was getting all this stuff done. I've got multiple passions. So like, let's see, what all did I do? It was so much. I started doing a little bit of writing. I don't really remember scheduling that part so much, but I did a lot of writing. Um, I started, doing like dance classes. So I would like practice like break dancing, or I looked up like, how to do like the Charleston, like that old time style dancing. I started practicing that. I started doing yoga like early in the morning. I started doing like workouts every day. I would schedule like meditations and stuff. Um, at this phase of my life, I was really, like, it was a really good like 6 months of my life when I was doing this whole ScheJournal thing. I was getting all my homework done. I was wanting to be healthy. So, like, I was making like green smoothies. I would get like fruits and vegetables, and I would put them all in a blender and put this powder in that I'd ordered. And I was following this recipe and making this really healthy, like, smoothie drink that was like delicious. And I was like drinking that, and, I was working out, and I was doing meal prep. So I was like cooking foods, and I was cooking meals that were like, I was doing like these workouts to burn fat. And, I was trying to make my diet be integrated with that too. So I was cooking like stir fry and, like, uh, let's see, there was some tilapia and snap peas, and let's see, there was something with like egg whites and what was it, green onions or something. There were like three different meals plus those like green smoothies that I was making, and I was, eating that stuff and making this stuff, and I was getting all this stuff done. And the way that I did it, besides the scheduling part of it, I would write down what my plan was, what I wanted to do. On the right side of the page of, the college ruled notebook is what I use. I would write the same hours, and then I would put in this space, I scheduled this over here. Over here, this is what I actually did. So like, no, it wasn't always following my schedule perfectly. Sometimes I would fall asleep, and I would like oversleep, and so I'd have to write down, I went to sleep during this many hours, or I took a nap during this time, and I would kind of give myself a grade or a score. So like, back on the left side of the page, at the end of the day, after I, put what I did and, what I wanted to do, I would put a check mark next to every half hour block where I did exactly what I had planned to do, or else I would put an X, if I ended up not doing it for whatever reason. And I would add all of that up, and I would give myself a score. And, sometimes, uh, if it was like I made some progress on what I wanted to do, but I also got distracted, so I wasn't like fully committed to it, I would just draw like a diagonal line. So I would give myself like maybe like half a point for that, period of time or whatever. So not an X and not a check. And I would kind of use that as I would, go through every day to calibrate, how much I was getting done, And there were some days where I would like follow my schedule perfectly, and I was really sticking to that, that masculine energy of structure. And when you look back over that at the end of the day and you're like, wow, I got all that done, like, I'm this procrastinator, but I did that. All right, well, maybe I'm not such a procrastinator after all. Maybe I just needed to pick a direction and move towards it. And when I actually did that, that was life changing for me. um, and I did that I think I did it consistently for about 6 months before I started to kind of fall off of it. And it was one of the best 6 months of my life. So, what did you get from that?
Well, I think that's pretty cool, but what I got from it mostly was the masculine part is that would be a masculine way to go about it.
Yeah,
Well, I'm going, I can't stick to, and I don't even want to put myself in the position to have to stick to an agenda like that. I have my brain that has that list in it, and I constantly am, I want to do this, I want to do that, and I know what I want. I have the vision. I have the feeling inside. Like I said, I'm not after the bucks or the fame or anything this world has to offer. It's the oneness with the creator, the oneness with nature, the oneness with love. And that's what I want. I want that feeling. And I want to create. I love nature, and I love to create, and I'm a frustrated artist. I'm a frustrated musician. I love animals. I'm a frustrated groomer, frustrated about all kinds of things. I love to garden. And then I've had so much opposition and so much physical opposition from the opposition and then the doctors and I just fought through. And keeping to an agenda like that would just add so much anxiety and stress. I have had to pat myself on the back of some days if I could even get out of bed, you know, uh, because I've been so far down. And when I could do nothing at all, I could, and I had this picture. I don't know if you know I think her name was Hazel, and she was this really, she was on Facebook, and it was posters. I think her name was Hazel, I forget, but she was just this ragged old lady with gray hair and in her robes and slippers, and always had this weird saying, the negative kind of saying on her posters. And she had this old dog, and I had one of her posters on my computer screen, and it said, "Hey, I'm out of bed. That's good enough." I made it to the computer. And so I created an online gift shop before those kind of things were even like the thing. I learned how to, it was with OC Commerce or something, and I had mentors that helped me learn the different computer language and stuff to create my shopping cart and everything on my website. And I did that, and I joined a healing group of women that I'm still friends with now. And you know, I did amazing because I have in my head, I've got these goals set. And I told my son when he gave me this puppy, he bought this puppy for me, and you can tell, he's got a lot of energy. And every time I would get up, he's right in front of me, crossing over, and he's not trained. I didn't leash train him very good. And he's just crossing over. And I said, this puppy reminds me of my life and of how people have always tried to trip me up when I'm trying to go from point A to point B. They're always trying to trip me up, always in my way. And so the agenda thing is like I said, I've got so many goals, and it's kind of like just I finally just started focusing in on that heartfelt feeling of what I wanted, and focusing in on the inner healing, and that I'm worth having what I want. And then it just, and giving myself space to just do what I felt like doing in any given moment. Like yesterday, I've been, I've got this cancer thing going on, and then my friend that takes me places from church was, she had a person stay with her that had COVID, and I wasn't vaccinated. So but she was vaccinated, so she didn't get it, but I did, because she was still carrying the virus even though she didn't have the symptoms, and people don't realize that, and
Yes.
so not only am I fighting the cancer, I've been fighting COVID for 2 weeks on top of that. And I'm a fighter. I just go right through it. I've got supplements and stuff. I've been doing this for a long time, and essential oils and all this stuff. God just, gives me things, and I go from there, and I learn, and that's part of what I have, my agenda and my mind is, I have all these things that I go against the grain, and I'm learning herbs and foraging and all this kind of stuff, and I'm dealing with the cancer myself. The doctors, are getting frustrated with me because I don't want to do it their way. And anyway, so what was I saying? I forget what I was saying. Oh, and so yesterday, my grass is like, 2 feet tall, which I planted. It wasn't even there when I moved here, which is really cool. I look at it and go, look at what you did, girl. And here it's 2 feet tall. Most people look at it and go, hey, you should mow your lawn. I'm going, hey, isn't that cool? But I actually, fighting this COVID and everything, I actually got out there and I weed eated half of it day before yesterday, or was it yesterday?
Nice.
And then I raked it too. Yeah, I raked it yesterday. I weed eated it the day before. I still have part of it to go, but that's what I do. I go, and then I just give myself, you know, I honor myself and say, okay, it's time for a break, and it can take care of itself. And when you're ready to take it up again, we'll do it again. And my goal is to have good feelings instead of beating myself up because I didn't get something done that was on my to-do list. I'm trying to throw away that to-do list. So that's what I got out of it. So I guess that's the feminine approach.
Yeah. Yes. Thank you for sharing. So the masculine approach, I would say, if you're like in college or if you have a job that takes like a lot of time that you really have to focus on specific areas, the ScheJournal is really good for that. So whenever I start to like really, dive into the ScheJournal, my target audience will probably be like college students because that's when I used it and it changed my life, for getting homework and certain tasks done. But I also want to share the negative side of whenever I was doing the ScheJournal stuff was like, whenever other people would want to do stuff with me, I had a conflict, It was like, I committed to doing this thing on my schedule, but, my mom or my brother, they want me to, would sometimes want to like go watch a movie or like go to my grandparents' house and, just watch movies and just hang out for several hours, spend time with family and stuff like that. And so there was that conflict for me. So people in my life, they were giving me pushback against, me doing the ScheJournal things as strictly as I was. Because I felt like if I relaxed on that, if I relaxed my discipline, I would start to lose discipline everywhere else too. And I didn't want to lose the gains that I had made. So now that I've started to ScheJournal again, I'm not currently in college or working for anyone else besides myself and God. So the way I'm doing it now is I've integrated a feminine approach. So if the masculine approach is, make a plan or a schedule and stick to it, the feminine approach would be follow your highest excitement. So, you know, um, these days, whenever I wake up, I'll just write, I'm starting to try to wake up earlier. So I'm trying to start, scheduling ahead of time. But I'm doing this fast right now, so my body needs a lot of rest and sleep, I think. And so a lot of times, I'll wake up and um, if I haven't already scheduled the hours that I'm going to be awake, I'll just start from when I wake up and, write in until I run out of space. And, when it comes to things like the earthquaking classes that I definitely want to go to, in my schedule, I'll write that stuff down because I'm like, I need to do this for sure. And when it comes to like the stuff that I need to get done or that I really want to do, I'll schedule that stuff so that I can focus my energy on like, this is what I'm going to do during this time. But lately, there's also been a lot of blank spaces because, I don't know exactly what I want to do in this time. And so kind of what I try to follow when I don't have the masculine structure is I follow my highest excitement. So if I finish one thing and it's time to do another, and I'm not sure exactly what the next other thing is, I'll just kind of, feel into my heart and be like, okay, well, what would I love to do next? And, uh, like earlier today, each day of the week for me is like a different focus. And today is like the day of the mind. And so like today, I spent, in the hours leading up to this class, I read some of my favorite books. So I've got like some Stephen King here, and I like, fantasy, so Wheel of Time. I spent a couple hours today just reading. Today is my day of the week where I allow myself to do that, and also potentially writing and stuff like that. Um, so there's the feminine approach to balance out the masculine of following your highest excitement. And let's see what the combination of the two leads to is, divine flow unfolding. So let's see, those are the masculine and feminine principles. It's actually been 2 hours, so I'm going to try to wrap it up, or at least, come to a good place where I can stop recording without going too long. Um, but besides, picking what you want and going for it, um, taking steps towards it. The third mistake in the YouTube video was, not having a mentor. So anyone watching this in the future, my call to action is if you're a procrastinator, uh, if you don't already have a better mentor, you can pick me, and we can do coaching together, and I'll help you work through that because I definitely know a lot about procrastination. But the other third thing, besides finding a mentor, would be, it ties back into my ScheJournal. So when you decide what you want and you start making moves towards it, the third step would be to assess and plan ahead. So like the assessment part is in my journal where I write down what I did and how the experience, you know, if you want to, you can journal about how the experience went and what happened for you. So you'll literally have a record of it. If you're writing it down physically in a notebook, or if you're, putting it in your phone in something, um, you can actually go back and look at the schedule and the journal, and you can look back and if a judge ever asks you, where were you on this day and this time, you could literally be like, all right, well, let me pull up my ScheJournal. I was doing this. So if anyone ever questions you, if anyone ever tries to judge you for how you've been spending your time, you can just point to this right here, be like, let's see, I was doing this. And most people can't do that because they're just kind of living life. So there's a lot of fun stuff you can really do with the ScheJournal. You're literally writing down your history if you do both sides of it. And you're not just writing your history, you're writing your history before you make it happen, and you're writing your true history of what you did make happen. So it's a really empowering tool. And so that's the third step to assess, uh, and plan ahead. And once you do that, you have your day completed, and the next day you just do the same thing again. It's like, what do I need to work on today? What is the next step I can take in that direction? And once I've done it, assess and plan ahead. And by doing that, you're making very definite steps and overcoming procrastination. The more action you take, the more that you're totally throwing out that limiting belief like, I'm a procrastinator. No, look at all the stuff I got done. I can look back, for weeks and be like, let's see, I got this done on this day, I got this done on this day. That is the opposite of procrastination. So if anyone's really in that state, if you just start doing what I did, um, the ScheJournal method is a really good time management tool. You can, you're not going to be a procrastinator anymore. You don't have any choice. You don't have a choice to be if you're actually doing this. um, you might be procrastinating on certain things, but you're always taking action on something, even if that something is, just letting yourself relax. Like, it's important to schedule work, but when you get done with your work, you need to schedule your play too. Um, you just schedule time to be with yourself and your loved ones. Um, when you're working, it's what you can call your value production or your value creation. And whenever you're spending that quality time with loved ones, it's what you can call value reflection. You're doing all this work, and the people that you love that support you are reflecting that value back to you that you're putting out into the world. So it really, all of the principles and, all of your life, it becomes a holistic thing where it's just a circulation of love and value. And, you're getting stuff done, but you're also taking time to live your life and enjoy it. Um, so let's see. I'll look at my mind map one more time. I think that's a pretty good conclusion. I don't know if there's anything else that I absolutely need to talk about because I actually had I actually had two mind maps that I didn't even start on tonight. I drew a circle and I wrote infinite abundance, and on a different page I drew another circle and I wrote procrastination. And what I was originally going to do was like I was just going to, kind of go with myself and whoever's in my class, and we can work on that mind map to, kind of expand on it, and just kind of I would write it as we go and we can talk about it. But it's already been over 2 hours. Um, so on my next class, we'll keep on working on it. This is just the first co-creation of the Unleashing Infinite Abundance Masterclass. So I want to thank you, Delores, for being here and for helping me to create this space. It wouldn't have been the same without you.
Well, thank you. I'm still worried that this is going to be recorded and people are going to listen to it. I didn't think about that. I was just talking to a friend. So anyway, yeah, I've enjoyed this. I've enjoyed this, and I think what you're talking about with your agenda and I forget what you called it.
ScheJournal.
Your journal. Anyway, I think that is really good for people like your age that are, have their whole life ahead of them and they're trying to figure out, how to make things work and what it is they're going to do and all that kind of stuff. I'm 72. I'm kind of beyond, I'm just trying to get through the day the best way I can, and I'm learning how to give myself space and to rest and to love myself and get past all the crap in my background. So yeah, but like when I sold real estate and stuff, I could see where something like that would be good. Yeah. Yeah, I've enjoyed this. Thank you.
No, you're very welcome. I don't know. This was so much fun for me. Like I don't know. I might. I'll probably do another one. Maybe in as soon as a week. um, I'm gonna. I'll probably try to mix it up a little bit so it's like different days of the week, so different people who are maybe working on some days can show up when others don't. And also like today, I wasn't really that like super full of energy or anything, so I didn't really feel like even like promoting the class that much. So uh, now that I've done the first one, and it was pretty much just with you, the other person. Hopefully they'll come back, for my next class or whatever. Like it was really awesome. Um, now that I've done it, if I had, I can see that like if I had done the script and just gone through that, it would have been like a completely different class. But when we just go with the flow and I put my piece in and then I receive what you have to give, it's like we both give and receive the value that we're meant to. So it's like this, it's really it's a beautiful thing. Um my three things that I noticed were missing in the world of a kid were harmony, fellowship, and intimacy. So, two people, anytime I'm hanging out with a person one on one, that's like a beautiful experience of intimacy for me. So, I thank you for being part of my first class here, Dolores.
And I just want to thank you very much. And I just want to add that my agenda was to groom my puppy today and give him a bath, but I'm here with you. So that's what I'm talking about. I just go with the flow and let things happen. And yeah, and this is going to be very rewarding, you know. So it already has been.
All right.
So
So thank you very much, Dolores. Oh yeah, I forgot. Since it's the end of my first master class, part of what we're supposed to do is make an offer. So anyone watching this is the first official master class. You'll probably be watching the other ones, later on, or you'll actually be here with me while I'm doing it. So if you'd like to join the Unleashing Infinite Abundance Mastermind, which will probably, be like a Facebook group or what have you, you can join that for three payments of $77 or one payment of $197 to join the mastermind. And I'm also working with Peter in the Earthwaking Village. So I don't even have like a beautiful website set up yet or anything, but I'm going to make a whole masterclass course. So what I'm hoping to do, I've had one person invest in me officially, which is Noel. Um, when I fill up 12 spots of people to invest $555 with me and in my vision, they're going to become lifetime VIP members. So that means they can literally call me anytime and I'll just answer and I'll just work on them, towards whatever it is they need help with. And I'll also give you free access to all my courses and, you know, anything that I create going forward. For being one of the first 12 people, I'm gonna put you in there for free because I care, because I value that so much. So those are my offers. Um, the rest of my offers will be on my website. There's like seven of them. I still need to make videos and record videos going into more detail about all those. Um, so if you go to, let's see, well, it's like onuniverse.com is where it is right now, but it's like make me want to live again dot universe or whatever. I'll share that on my social media and stuff like that, so anyone can look at that when they want to. And when I get a landing page set up, you can actually join officially. But for the time being, if anyone decides to join, just send me an email at Babylon the Lesser at protonmail.com and let me know. That way I can, start working with you or what have you. So thank you for being here. You are the gift. I love you. I appreciate you. And I hope that you have a wonderful night.
thank you.
You're welcome. Have a great night, Dolores. Thank you for being
Okay.
here.
Okay. Bye bye.
Bye bye.